find you, and you will scream for years.
Come and play with us forever and ever.
4 decades after Danny Torance and his mother escaped the Overlook Hotel, he's become a drifter, trying to make his way through life while at the same time suppressing his shine. When a young girl named Abra communicates to him with similar power, he finds himself as the target of a group of psychic vampires. 2019 has been the year for Stephen King adaptations. Pet Sematary in April, It Chapter 2 in September, and now Doctor Sleep in November. This is a rather interesting story, as it is not only an adaptation of a sequel, but it's also serving as a sequel to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, an adaptation that Stephen King infamously hates. The challenge that this movie faced was striking a balance between an adaptation of the novel and a sequel to the movie. Those are very two different things. Essentially two sequels for the price of one. I thought it would be an entertaining movie. I mean, looking at the other recent King adaptations, I think Warner Brothers is better equipped to handle Stephen King material than Paramount or Sony. But what I didn't expect was it would be my favorite Stephen King adaptation of the year. This movie was directed by Mike Flanagan, who was the creator and director of Netflix's The Haunting on Hill House. What I liked about that miniseries was that it wasn't just a scary story, it was a gothic tale about loss and life. So Flanagan was definitely a good choice for this movie. And when it comes to scaring you, Flanagan doesn't rely on jump scares. It's all about setting the mood and creating atmosphere. And it's through that where he unnerves you, makes you feel nervous. And it's in that where I think the scares are more effective. Anybody with the right timing can make you jump out of your seat. But it takes skill to make your audience feel uncomfortable and sort of let the fear gradually build up inside them. Don't get me wrong, there are jump scares. I mean, there was jump scares in The Haunting. But they're used far and few between. And more often than not used to punctuate a scene or moment rather than to just be something cheap to get a rise from the audience. It really helps that the movie has a good pacing towards it. The pacing of this movie was really well done. It feels a bit like a compressed epic. It's a movie that covers a lot of ground, a long period of time. The runtime of this movie is good. I think it was the right length. But if there was, say, an extended edition, a director's cut, I wouldn't complain. What really helps is that we have a strong lead in Ewan McGregor as Danny Torance. He is the heart of this movie. A damaged man tormented by the trauma of his childhood while also dealing with a supernatural gift that he never asked for. He learns to master this ability and he comes to realize over time that what he has is a gift. That he should be using it to help others. And while it may bring out some demons, both literal and figurative, he knows in his heart that it's the right thing to do. I don't think this movie would have been as good as it was if it weren't for Ewan McGregor's strong performance. Hats off to him. Speaking of hats, Rebecca Ferguson is both charismatic and intimidating as Rose the Hat. She's the leader of a group of psychic vampires who seek out those with supernatural powers so they can feed on them and gain immortality, often targeting young children before they learn what their powers are and how they develop them. Abra is one of those kids who's developing a power, and unfortunately she draws the attention of the vampires, so she calls out to Danny Torance, or really anybody with psychic powers, to help her. Danny is hesitant. He doesn't want anything to do with the Shine. He just wants a normal life, no supernatural nonsense. But then he realizes that this isn't so different from when he was a kid. When he had someone, he realizes the severity of it, that these vampires are eliminating anyone who has the Shine. If he doesn't help, a lot more innocent people are going to die. All three main characters in this movie are given strong performances. Ewan McGregor, Rebecca Ferguson, Kylie Curran, they bring nothing short of their A game. And I think Kylie Curran definitely has a future as a big name in the horror genre. Something that elevated this movie almost to blockbuster status was the visuals, the cinematography, the effects, the editing. There are a lot of creative moments and sequences, like the Shine coming out of one of the vampire's victims, Rose hunting down Abra. Kudos to director Mike Flanagan for this one. The Haunting on Hill House was a very visually creative series, especially the episode with the one take, and I'm glad that he brought this sense of imagination to this movie. This being a sequel to The Shining, it was evident that we'd eventually return to the Overlook Hotel. But what I really appreciated, even though it was a little thing in the grand scheme of the movie, was that when we eventually returned to the Overlook, it felt like something we've earned. When we go back to the Overlook, there's a lot of dramatic weight to it. It doesn't feel like something that was tossed in because sequel to The Shining. Technically speaking, it is a legacy sequel, but it is one of the better ones. Every director has their own style, their own flair. Something that clues into the audience that what they're watching is a part of the director's artistic identity. And one thing that Mike Flanagan really likes to do is bring out the blue in a scene. And it is evident in this movie. Even in the scene where blue doesn't quite match, there's always a little tint of blue added in. There are scenes in this movie that feel like they added a turquoise filter to the lens of the camera and then just forgot about it. Maybe there's some form of visual storytelling going on that I missed. But the turquoise filter definitely gets a bit glaring after a while. I appreciate this movie for not being a nostalgia bait type of sequel, but when we do return to the Overlook, it becomes a member berries fest of The Shining. It's as if they felt the need to throw in as many references as possible. Gotta have the twins, gotta have the maze, gotta have the bar, gotta have the blood elevator, gotta have that weird old naked lady from the bathtub. We know it's a sequel to The Shining, okay? You don't need to give us all these Easter eggs. Appreciate the thought, but Red Rum and Danny looking through that door was all the Easter eggs we needed. For a movie that is a sequel as well as an adaptation of a sequel, Dr. Sleep is sure to please both fans of The Shining the movie and The Shining the book and the Dr. Sleep the book. It pays homage to the original, but it stands well enough on its own that you don't necessarily need to see the original. I mean, you should. The Shining is a good movie. But you won't be lost in terms of story or lore if you skip The Shining and go straight to Dr. Sleep. The way it combines fantasy horror with grounded drama is exceptional. At the heart is the story of a broken man trying to move on from trauma, but at the same time, it's a terrifying tale of ghosts, immortality, psychics, and supernatural power. It's horrifying, mysterious, spectacular, heartfelt, and just all around entertaining. It's a great movie, one that deserves to be seen multiple times at the theaters or on Blu-ray. Alright, that's my review of Dr. Sleep. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you're new around here. And as always, this is the Canadian Movie Buff saying I hope you had a fantastic weekend at the movies. See ya!